was working in California
Oh,
a couple of decades ago now
wow.
when I was hit head on Pacific Coast Highway and I suffered a traumatic brain injury. And I needed to.
Welcome back, all of my Courage, Confidence, and Connections podcast fans. I'm Janice Debo, your host. My guest today is Eva Goulette. You heard me right. Ava. I did it again. But anyway, I love her name because it reminds me of Ava Gardner and Robert Goulet, and she got the best of both. So there we go. Hey, welcome, Ava.
Thank you. It's lovely to be here.
Are you any kin to those famous people?
No, I am not related to any of them. Nope. But I did work in a large Fortune 500 company once, and the mailroom would call me periodically and say, "We just got another piece of mail here for Eva Gabor. We're only assuming it's for you, so we're going to send it your way."
Yeah, there was Ava Gabor and Ava Gardner and then Robert Goulet. I think he's the only one I know that has the last name Goulet.
Yeah.
Um, but that is a very unusual name, and you probably have some connection down the line in maybe 20 generations down or something.
Never know.
No,
Totally possible.
I know. All right. Well, welcome to this broadcast. And I'm going to have you tell our fans and listeners a little bit about you, and then we will explore the depths of what you do and how you got there in a little bit.
Okay. So, my name is Eva Goulet. I live in Maine, and I have always been somebody who loves working with children. I'm at retirement age. I won't disclose exactly how old, but I'm retirement age. But I have worked with children since I was in my early 20s. And it's something that just fills my heart with joy. And it fulfills my soul. I feel like that's part of my purpose on earth at this point in time is to connect with children in really deep ways. So anyway, I was working in California a couple of decades ago now
Wow.
when I was hit head on Pacific Coast Highway and I suffered a traumatic brain injury and I needed to come back to Maine to live with my parents. And I lived with them for 9 years before I was able to get a place on my own again.
Wow.
So it was a long recovery, and I feel like I kind of went back to being like a small child again, where I had to have someone caring for me and making decisions for me on my behalf, making sure my needs were getting met. And I feel like I'm one of the only people I know who actually grew up with their parents twice in the same lifetime, because that is exactly what happened to me as I came back here as an adult, but very childlike in an adult body. Um, and then once I started recovering from this traumatic brain injury, I started getting downloads at 3:20 in the morning about new ways to support children in the world. And I
Wow.
guess I just need to backtrack a little bit. I should have said when I was talking about how much I loved working with children that I have always been deeply spiritual and been on a spiritual path since I could breathe.
Mhm.
I've always been very aware and very conscious and awake. So anyway, as I started receiving these downloaded messages at 3:20 in the morning, I kept thinking it was just a symptom of my brain injury until I had received enough of them that I realized I was being given this really cool information about how to teach children how to be a spirit in a human body.
Mm.
And I started understanding a little bit more that I was being given a new way to work with children that would combine my love for spirituality with my love of children. And that's how I started my company 10 years ago. And of course, I was still recovering from this brain injury. So it started very, very slowly as my neural pathways were healing and allowing me to do a little bit more with each year. But now I am the founder of Dancing Jaguar's Spirit Camp, which is a metaphysical summer camp for kids. And that is, I feel, the culmination of what my purpose in this lifetime is to teach children how to be a spirit in a human body and thrive.
Oh, and I absolutely love that. It's amazing to me what you do. And of course, we've talked before, and
Hmm.
I find it just fascinating that, and I don't think you mentioned the head-on collision when we talked before. You might have. I've talked to a lot of people since then, so you very well may have told me, and it just didn't register. I've been around a lot of people, honestly, and was married to one with TBIs. It, my goodness, I don't even know what that person would have been like before had he grown up. Were you in a coma?
No, I was not.
Really?
Um, no, but over time, I start recognizing that another piece of me has come back. Just on Wednesday of this week, I had this aha moment when I realized, oh my gosh, that's an awareness that I'm having right now that I haven't had since before my car accident. So there are still pieces of me that come back that still shock me to this day because I don't know they're missing until I get them back. And then it's like, oh my gosh, I used to know how to do this and it just came back to me just now. So it's really exciting to have those moments. And I just had one so recently, so I can talk about it like this. But for the most part, I feel like I'm mostly all back. And then there are just those little tiny snippets of time when something
Did,
exciting happens.
did you lose your memory?
I have lost a lot of my memory of my life before the car accident. Yes. I had to teach my family and friends to stop starting their questions with, hey, do you remember when?
Oh my
Because the
God.
answer, yeah, the answer would always be no. And I would say, please, can you try to train yourself not to ask a question that starts with that? Because the answer will always be no.
Yeah,
And
it's hard.
well, I mean, it's not anymore. And now I can laugh about it, but I was kind of sad about that before because I didn't have access to those memories. But I went to a shaman and asked the shaman to do a soul retrieval on my behalf so I could connect and reclaim the part of my soul that was holding on to those memories for me. And
Oh,
what I was told is I am not supposed to get them back because that is the gift from the car accident. Because what happened as a result of that is I only live in the moment.
wow.
I'm I don't have the baggage of the past with me because it's not there. So I am able to connect with children in a way that many adults can't. And I have actually been given the name the child whisperer because I feel like a little bit of a child magnet sometimes when children connect with me. And that is the reason why. That's the gift I got from the car accident.
Well, that is a gift in a lot of ways to not remember some of that baggage. I'll tell you what, I have so much of it. I'm writing memoirs now, which I'm recalling. I'm seeing pictures and research online going, wow, I found my parents' marriage license online.
Are you kidding me? Wow.
I know none of us had ever seen it. My sister thought maybe it was in storage, but I said, "You've never seen it. We've never even seen wedding pictures." And there's a long story. That's when I'll interview myself about that one. But anyway, I find it so fascinating having been exposed to so many people with brain injuries and memory loss, etc. I
Mhm.
watched a movie. I may have told you about this, but we're recording now, so our audience gets it again. It's called The Mystery of Her. And I would recommend that it was a high school senior. And of course, it's fictional, but I think it might be based on something factual. She was a high school senior in a head-on collision in a cornfield, not another car. But she lost her memory, and it's a phenomenal movie to get a perspective of someone who's like, I don't know, I just don't know. Right? And people were always saying, "Well, do you remember?" And she got tired of it too, so I know you'll enjoy that movie. But and you'll relate to it. You'll relate to it.
It's called The Mystery of Her.
Hmm.
Okay.
Yep, it's one worth watching. It was so good. I don't know if I bought it or I think I did buy it. Although it was free when I watched it, I decided to go ahead and put it in my file, my archives. So,
Oh, that's really cool.
yeah,
Okay, I'll look for it.
there's some beautiful songs and poetry in that. Um, and they're not shy about the frustration that comes with that. Tell me, in your recovery, did you have to deal with anger and frustration to process things?
Oh, yeah, I wasn't even able to process things for a long time. Yeah. I mean, and it I didn't even have the capacity to get angry and frustrated at the beginning. I just was not capable of processing things. But over time, I would get frustrated. And when I would get frustrated, I would literally just close my eyes and go to sleep, and my brain would reset in about 2 minutes. And
Oh,
then I would just wake up and be able to come back to the conversation.
yeah.
But yeah, there was a long period of time where I couldn't drive, and I just needed to be taken care of.
Wow. How old were you when you had that accident, if you don't mind my asking, Ava?
It was just about 3 weeks before my 40th birthday.
Wow. You weren't a kid.
I
Okay.
was not a, nope, I was not a child. No.
Wow. I,
But it really put my life onto the path that I was meant to be on.
oh yeah.
And oh, I have a really funny story to tell you about how I didn't want to go on this path and I fought it tooth and nail.
Oh, tell me.
I was working in at Disneyland in the marketing special events division. That's the event that plans all the I mean the department that plans all the celebrity parties and the galas, and like it's the fun marketing department to be in, went to plan all these really incredible events. And I kept getting this message from Spirit that I was living my life from my head and not from my heart, and I needed to make a change. And
Ooh.
I didn't really know what that meant, although the message was clear. And I kept thinking I'm having so much fun, and I had done a lot of really deep healing work and
Mhm.
inner child healing and stuff. And I kept thinking, I'm in the best place in the world for my inner child to have fun. Like we did a lot of hard work over the last 5 years, and I want to play now. So every year for 7 years while I was working there, I would be in a rear ended fender bender. And my friends would say, somebody's trying to get your attention. What do you think they're trying to tell you? And I would say, I know what they're trying to tell me. I am living my life from my head and not from my heart. And I'm supposed to be doing something else, but I don't know what it is. And I love what I'm doing. So I want to do it for another year. Finally, after seven little rear-ended bumper, fender benders, I got hit in a major way head on Pacific Coast Highway, and it just took me out of that life and brought me back to Maine. And that's when, the very long decade of healing started. I mean, it was more than one decade of healing, but like the big work. And then it was after that that I started getting the downloads as my brain was healing more and stuff. But, I got to then take care of my parents after they took care of me for a decade.
Mm.
As they aged and before they passed away, I was able to take care of them. It's just, to me, it's just beautiful the way it all worked out. And I have learned now to not ignore those little niggles when I get messages, because I am the classic example of somebody who lived the experience of, spirit tapping you on the shoulder over and over and over, and you're not listening. So it just hits you with a 2x4. Classic example right here, me.
Wow. Well, we'll have to talk sometime about rear-ended because I thought I had for a long time in North Carolina. I thought I had a bumper sticker that said "hit me" because I got rear-ended probably as many times as you did, and even side I got T-boned in somebody else's car. So and then I got rear-ended in a car that I was borrowed from the dealership when mine was in the shop. My car never got hit. I was in somebody else's every single time.
Oh my goodness.
And I had a chiropractor say, you cannot be in another car wreck or you won't make it. Well, I made it. But I did have one head on with a telephone pole. So,
Oh
um,
my goodness.
yeah. And I can date myself here before airbags. Before airbags.
Yep. I hear that. My head-on car crash was with the airbag though, because I could taste the chemicals for days on end. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. That's so bad. So
Yeah.
bad.
But
Yeah,
it saved my life, so well, I can't
yeah,
complain.
true. Yeah, but we do get those nudges, and I've been known to resist and resist. I'm going to sit down and meditate on what we're talking about because I'm wondering if at that time in my life when that was happening, what was I pushing back on? So I'm sure there's an answer there somewhere.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see if you can put some pieces together to that puzzle, huh?
Oh yeah, because I hadn't thought about all those rear end fender benders recently.
Mhm.
Like, yeah, I did. I really did. Matter of fact, I was in our little Volkswagen Bug one time, and one of my first husband, and I was sitting at a stoplight, and somebody just plowed right into me. I'm like,
Mm.
I thought, and then after the next two or three, I thought, who put a bumper sticker on this car? Maybe one of those big targets, here it comes.
Yep.
There she is. Yeah. So I
Yep.
relate to that just a little too well, but I am going to give some thought to it. Now, moving forward, as we end,
Mhm.
we record, we're about halfway through or thereabouts, but I want to really delve into what you do for kids. I I interviewed a gal who um, has been fighting human trafficking for years. And so I interviewed her on Monday, and she's actually a close friend. But I'm wondering if what you do can make such a difference in kids' lives to actually circumvent potential problems with human trafficking. But that's not your specialty, but I'm curious about your perspective of how you help kids and what kind of stories, examples you can give me that it's been radical changes.
Oh, I would love to. I love telling stories about
Yes.
some of the transformational experiences that I've been witness to with children at Spirit Camp. So let me start by just saying that one of the main goals of Spirit Camp is to help kids connect to their inner world in a way that they start learning how to trust their intuition. Most kids don't even know what intuition
That's
is, so that's a first step.
right.
But then helping them understand that our intuition is like it's like due north on the compass. If we just pay attention and follow our intuition,
Yeah.
we will keep finding ourselves going in the path of our highest good. So there are many ways that we do that with kids. I am a shamanic practitioner now, and we have a lot of shamanic ceremonies and rituals in spirit camp. So kids learn, they make their own sacred tools to do ceremony and spirit with and rituals with. And then we teach them about their chakra system and that they are made up of energy,
Mhm.
and we teach them how to work with their chakras using pendulums. And then we introduce them to the idea well, using pendulums and gemstones actually.
Mhm.
And then we introduce them to the idea of what an aura is, and we use dowsing rods to actually show them how big their aura is. So we have an entire day where we're just exploring energy in our bodies, and then we explore energy as thoughts, and then we start going outside into the natural world and exploring energy connections with the natural world. And it becomes a really, I don't know, to me, it's really profound to see kids making connections like that in nature and where they actually get messages from the trees on the property that we're on. And then there's an entire day where we do shamanic journeying, and we teach them how to connect to their power animal. And they connect to their power animal themselves. We don't do it for them. We teach them how to access that connection to that particular spirit helper, so that they have the tools to do that on their own when spirit camp is over. And then we teach them breath work and mindfulness tools, a lot of mindfulness tools.
Oh,
We
good.
teach them about positive setting affirmations, and the importance of a positive mindset, and how to identify that inner critic that can tend to be really hurtful and harmful. And I feel like that's a really important piece of the work we do, because so many teens are really, really struggling by the time they hit those teenage years. And, when children have tools to start understanding that the thoughts they're thinking is not who they are, but they do have the power to manage those thoughts, it makes a huge difference in the life of a child. And then we, give them a lot of mindfulness and meditation tools that they create themselves so they can take home. They can take them home with them. So at the end of the week, they have what we call their spirit toolbox. It's a cardboard shoebox that they have decorated that is
Oh,
filled with all of the tools that they have learned how to use throughout the course of the week. So they've got, and it really is like a wisdom toolbox for life, because the tools that are in that box, they may be 7 years old when they come and experience spirit camp, but they could be using those same exact tools when they're 97. They are ageless and timeless. We use those tools. We use pendulums and dowsing rods and crystals and gemstones and meditation jars, and we use our sage as a cleansing ritual and stuff. So the tools that are in that toolbox are things that they are setting them up for success for their entire life. And to be given tools like that at a young age, that is gigantic. So, if you don't have a question about what I've said right now, I would love to share a few stories that come from Spirit Camp.
that would be great because I'm like, well, we need an adult spirit camp. Anyway.
There is one. I
Oh,
now, because I had so many parents saying, I'm so happy my child is learning this, but I need this for me. Could you create Spirit Camp for adults? So now there is a Spirit Camp for adults.
okay. I'm
And
ahead of
I,
you.
I have teacher training programs for both of those so that people can become certified to either do the same work with adults if they have adult clients, and if they're educators, parents, grandparents, holistic practitioners that want to do the work with kids, there's the training program for the children's program.
Fantastic. Well,
Um,
let's talk stories.
all right, here we go with some really cool stories. All right, so one time I was in Roanoke, Virginia, and there was a child who was really struggling to find her power animal. And she was having a lot of performance anxiety. And I could see that after we did our first journey and she was not successful, most of the other kids in the camp were successful. And I could see her anxiety just climbing. So I had a conversation with her, and I knew if we did another journey that she was going to be really struggling because of she had to do it right. She had to get it.
Mm,
So I just asked if she wanted me to do a journey on her behalf, and I did. And I found the essence of a starfish for her, which was a brand new animal. I had never connected to a starfish before. So I asked it, why is starfish so important for this child? And I was told that when a starfish loses one of its appendages, it will grow back, and
yeah.
that a starfish has the ability to self heal. And this particular child was having a lot of emotional trauma, and she needed to have starfish medicine because that was going to help her move forward. She has the ability to heal. And I was like, how do I say that to an 8-year old? So I asked for a spirit to help me with the words. So I had her come to me where we could talk privately for a few minutes, and I started sharing what had happened. And she just started sobbing these tears of joy. And she's patting her lips and going, oh my God, you have no idea how incredible this is. Oh my God, I can't believe this. And she's just sobbing. So I held space for her, gave her plenty of opportunity to tell me more, which she chose not to. And of course, I honored that. And in a couple of minutes, she was ready to go back, and she couldn't wait to tell her friends.
Oh my goodness.
So when her dad came to pick her up later that day, I shared with him what happened because I'd never seen a response that big before. And he said, I know why that was such a big deal to her. She is just coming to terms with the fact that she feels like she is a boy trapped in a girl's body, and
Mm,
she's really struggling. And what you did is you just gave her hope. And I said, I didn't do anything. Spirit is in
mm,
charge of all of this right now. And her power animal came forward to let her know she is not alone, and she has that starfish medicine to move forward with as she goes through this journey that
wow.
she's on with discovering who she is. And the family was so touched by the experience that she had that day that after the camp ended, they ended up bringing a starfish theme into her bedroom. So she would always be surrounded by hope.
Oh, that is amazing. Wow,
Yep.
that is
So I shared that story in 2019 at this huge expo that I was presenting at, and somebody heard me share that story. And about it was just last year, so 2024, I got a card in the mail from a woman, and she said that she had shared that story with her grandson who was also struggling with his identity. And she said, and my grandson felt like you gave him hope too. And
oh,
we found these starfish charms, and
hmm.
he is wearing one on a necklace now. And he wanted me to send you the other one so that you would always remember how your starfish story touches children's lives. Isn't that powerful?
It really, really is. It's amazing. You know,
Yeah.
it's so needed too. So many kids are lost these days, and they really need that. And I love that you train people to do this. And I've got some people I would be introducing you to as well. Now,
Wonderful. Thank you.
I have I don't know how, I think we talked about the religious culture and what you do when we
Mhm.
discussed it. So I do want to approach that because there are going to be some people listening that, I don't have anything against church or any of that stuff. That's where I was raised. But I've made the shift and kind of been able to, in my own mind, start to meld, you know, it was a gradual shift from religiosity to being more aware of the spiritual. I'm wondering how you bridge that, and I think we talked about that. So I was really curious. Can you enlighten our audience on that?
Sure, of course. So, first of all, I'm really delicate if I'm talking to a parent who is coming from a place of wanting me to explain how she can have this marriage of the spirit camp curriculum with with her religious beliefs. And what I'll say is like my website, it's so transparent. It's right out there. Your kids are learning metaphysical tools. They're learning about energy. They're working with spirit helpers. They're learning about the magic of gemstones and crystals. Like there's no secrets. It's all right out there.
Good.
But one of the things, this, I guess this is my personal belief. I wouldn't say this to a parent, but my personal belief is, with religious dogma, we're kind of told what we're supposed to believe about spirit. And the way that I work with children is I'm having them connect to their inner world, to their own connection to spirit. I'm not telling them what to believe. I'm teaching them how to access their inner spirit, their inner connection to God. Although I don't use the word God because some people get freaked out by it, I call it spirit or source energy.
Mhm.
So instead of telling them what to believe, I'm giving them tools and telling them to go within and find their own answers. So there's a difference there because I feel like I'm really empowering children with knowledge about who they are and who they are beyond this human physical body because our culture tends to only deal with children's brains and bodies.
Right.
And we don't help children understand that the essence of who they are is just as important. We have this mind, body, spirit trilogy, and we have to balance all of it as we're growing up in life. And if we're only paying attention to our brains and our bodies, then we're missing a whole piece of who we are. So,
Yeah.
by helping children connect to the spirit of who they are, I feel like it's empowering them to grow up as healthy, balanced individuals that are learning about who they are and what their spiritual path is as they move forward in life.
Yeah, and it's harder as an adult. I mean, I can say that from experience. And the resistance of those around you can get very difficult. It is harder to make that shift. It takes a diligent effort to stop, especially as we get older. It's like the body is screaming. I'm like, no, I'm not talking to you right now. I'm talking
Hmm.
to spirit. And I love what Joe Dispenza says, to get you out of your body, to just focus on nothing. That's hard to do.
It
We,
is.
oh, it's adults, boy. Mm, I'll tell you what, I love this concept, and I love that you're offering it to adults as well, because
Mhm.
um I just can't get over how ingrained that this is all there is. And this isn't all there is. This is
Mhm.
just, I love the fact that quantum physics has proven if you're not looking at it, it doesn't exist. Well, I can't even wrap my brain around that, but I want to wrap my brain around that because we live in a physical world. But because when I listened to that again the other day, I looked at my TV and went, so that doesn't exist when I'm not looking at it. I couldn't, how do you explain that?
Mm. Well, I don't because with the
Okay.
kids for sure. But even in spirit camp for adults, I mean, I don't go that deep into it. We are just so what I'll share about spirit camp for adults is oftentimes the people who are taking that course
Mhm.
are brand new beginners. Like they're wanting to open up a little bit and because they're feeling like there is more, but they don't know what the more is.
Mhm.
So oftentimes I've had adults describe spirit camp for adults as a metaphysical smorgasbord for adults, where you learn a little bit about this and a little bit about this and a little bit about this. And it's just like you're taste testing at this smorgasbord for the entire program, because then you know a little bit about a lot of subjects and you can determine from that, oh, you know what? It's the crystals that really spoke to me. I want to dive into learning more about crystals. Or, oh, you know what? It was the divination tools, the pendulums and the dowsing rods. I want to learn how to be able to use divination tools more. So by learning a little bit about a lot of topics, people leave having an understanding of what is calling to them most so they can explore it and go deeper into
Oh, yeah.
that. Does that make sense?
Oh, absolutely. Now, as we wrap this up, Ava, do you do any of your work virtually or is it all
I
in
do.
place wherever? Oh, you do.
I
Oh,
do.
elaborate, please.
So, I today actually was the last day of a Spirit Camp for Kids teacher training program that was online. When I do that program online, the teacher training program, it's a certification program. I am certifying people to go out and use my brand name and my logo. So I am a part of this program and I do it over an 8 week period of time, where there's a new module that opens every week. People can watch the videos and do the work on their own time, and I am supporting with a live Zoom call every week. The next launch is January 22nd.
Okay,
So I'm doing informational, like group discovery calls once a month between now and January 22nd, so people can have conversations with me and ask questions, much like what we're doing right now,
good.
to learn more about it. I will be launching a spirit camp for adults online program
Good.
where people who are the kind of spirituality 101 people who are just wanting to taste test a lot of different things, they're going to be able to do it at a self-paced course online. And I am loading that into the online platform right now. So that will be launching soon.
Nice.
So I would encourage any of your listeners that if they're interested in learning about any of the programs, Spirit Camp for Kids, the Spirit Camp for Kids teacher training program, Spirit Camp for Adults, and the Spirit Camp for Adults teacher training program, to just connect with me via my website, dancingjaguarinspirations.com, and join my email list. And you would be able to get notification of the events and when they're launching.
Nice. I have to ask before we close, how did you come up with the name Dancing Jaguar?
Well, when I was in my 20s, I was a classical ballet teacher. I was the director of a ballet studio in New York, working with children in that respect. So dancing has always been really important to me. My spirit animal that I work with most closely is a black jaguar.
Mm.
And I wanted to be an inspiration to children. So when I was asking Spirit, who was giving me all these messages, these downloads, I said, I don't know what to name my company. I was told just pick three things that are really important to you and see if you can blend them together to come up with a name for your company. So it's Dancing Jaguar Inspirations.
That's perfect. Absolutely perfect. As we get ready to say goodbye for this podcast, I want you to give any final words of wisdom, advice, or whatever you want to say. This is your stage, so you wrap it up.
Thank you. The message that I keep getting from Spirit that I am supposed to be sharing on behalf of Spirit is the world is ready and the children are waiting. And I believe they're waiting for each of us. They're waiting for us. If you're listening to this call right now, or this recording, you're listening to it for a reason. This could be your tap on the shoulder. Is Spirit speaking to you? Is this something that you should be looking into yourself? Are you going to be one of the light bearers who will mentor children to go into this new consciousness that we are creating, co-creating on this beautiful planet? So the world is ready and the children are waiting.
I love that. So, listeners, take heed. All of Ava's information is following the podcast. You'll be able to reach out to her. And do you have any books or anything you want to promote? Anything you sell other than your
Uh,
training, of course?
Well, I have a whole online store on my website. So you can go to my website and then you'll see products. And there's a lot of digital products that I sell that support kids, decks of cards that are PDF downloads, there's
Nice.
curriculum, all kinds, all kinds
Very
of stuff.
nice. Very nice. Okay. Well, thank you so much, Ava, for joining me on this podcast. This has been fun. I just knew your message has to get out there, and I want to be part of that to do so because I don't have kids, but I have a passion to make a difference, and this is what this is about. So thank you to all my Courage, Confidence, and Connections podcast fans. Stay tuned for another episode and reach out to myself or Ava if we can be of any assistance. We'll see you next time.